Valkyrie. No. What's up, y'all, man? We are back. This is part 5. Only got one more part to go, man. Y'all like up, sub up, comment up, and yeah, let's get straight into the tier list, right? So first we got my guy Black Panther. Black Panther is very good, right? I'm putting Black Panther in like A tier. He's always gonna be great. Works great with Arnim Zola. Works great with Shuri. Obviously works great with Wong. Right, you can run him on so many different styles of teams, and because his power doubles, if you have any cards that boost the powers of your other cards, like his sisters, I forget their names, like the 2-cost, like Nakia, and I forgot what the 2-cost card her name is. But if you could like boost the power of the cards in your deck or in your hand and then use Black Panther, you get way more mileage out of him rather than just a 5-8 power card, right? So I'm gonna put him in A tier. Blue Marvel, I think Blue Marvel is very good, man. I'm putting Blue Marvel in S. He feels like he should be like a 6-cost card, honestly, man, because you can really like play him at the very end of the game and just win the game just off of his ability, man. Just giving all the cards on your side of the field +1 is huge. Obviously, he works great with ongoing decks, works great with Cerebro. You could really throw him on any team and just get that edge at the end, right? So yeah, it's nothing bad about Blue Marvel at all. Even though he's 3 power, man, he seems way stronger than that. I gotta put him in S. Up next, we got Captain Marvel. I'm gonna be honest, Captain Marvel, she's D tier, right? Her ability is cool, but I feel like just outplay your opponent and like win the 2 lanes instead of hoping that she does it for you, right? I feel like she doesn't reward good play, and she oftentimes you can't really succeed with her in your team. I feel like she might be somewhat useful on a move style team with Kraven on it, but other than that, man, I honestly never lose to Captain Marvel teams, and yeah, I just don't think she's great at all. Up next, we got my guy Big Devil Dinosaur, right? Another S tier. Devil Dinosaur, man, like, although you get it very, very early in the game, it's just gonna always be one of those cards that's very hard to deal with, right? Even though it says 5-3, we know you can boost Devil Dinosaur all the way up to like 5-17, right? Yeah, it's just very hard to deal with. On top of being used in decks with Moon Girl, right? So you most often, or you're potentially able to get 2 Devil Dinosaurs off in the same game for both like 15 power or something like that. On top of that, it's very easy to add cards to your own hand with lower cost cards like Moon Girl, like Agent 13, Sentinel, stuff like that. So yeah, because of that, Devil Dinosaur is never gonna be bad, man. It's always gonna be an S tier, in my opinion. Dr. Octopus, on the other hand, it's very hard. It's very difficult to pull him off. I don't think he's as bad as Captain Marvel. Obviously, he works great with like Shang-Chi, and can be used on like those Galactus style teams. And funnily enough, counters the Devil Dinosaur. He's just very difficult, right? You more often than not don't want your opponent to be able to have all of their cards on the field, especially if they're using like a very cohesive deck, and if they happen to have like Armor or Cosmo in their hand, right? You can't really destroy any of their higher cost cards that might potentially come out. So yeah, he's very difficult to use, but 5'10" is very great, and yeah, he can be used though. He can be used for sure. So I'm putting him in C. Gamora, I love Gamora, man. This is like the only card I have inked. And I think Gamora is A tier, man. That might be a surprise to some of y'all, but like 5'12", on top of the fact that she works great with like Daredevil. You can play her last. You don't have to play her on turn 5. You can play her last, get that 5'12" plus whatever power you're gonna get from the 1-cost card you could play alongside her on the last turn, man. I think she's really solid, man. I feel like you can use her on any team because her ability is based off of your skill, right? So it's universal, right? So yeah, Gamora is definitely a great card, and I definitely think that she deserves to be an A tier for sure. Up next, we got Big Hobgoblin. I think Hobgoblin is another A tier card, man. You can run Hobgoblin on any team. Especially works really great with like those Galactus style teams, right? Only issue with Hobgoblin is if you're facing off against like Odin or something like that, it's very easy to counter. On top of that, if they use Cosmo in anticipation of Hobgoblin, or they're running a destroy deck in which they could eat the Hobgoblin card. But I feel like most often it's very good. Like, it's very hard to stop this card or even anticipate it in most cases. So I'm putting him in A. Yeah, I think A is a really good spot for Hobgoblin. Iron Man, I think Iron Man is a B tier. The only reason for that is because while he does provide the potential to have a very high power game, especially if you run him with like the Living Tribunal plus Onslaught, right? Yep, you put all three of those at the same spot. You could win a lot of games like that. Only problem with Iron Man is, on top of being 5-0, like Enchantress is on a lot of the teams in the meta, I feel like, and you're very vulnerable to get your ability taken away or stolen by a card like Rogue, right? So I'm gonna put Iron Man in B, but he definitely fits on more styles of teams than, let's say, a Dr. Octopus, or can be a lot more useful than a Captain Marvel, right? So I'm putting him in B tier. Same thing with Jane Foster, right? I feel like while she is 5'8", which is really strong, I feel like you really only want to run Jane on like a Lockjaw style of team. And with those teams, right, you're not gonna be, you're sometimes not even gonna be able to pull her, and on top of that, you have to make sure you have your Thor out on the field to fully capitalize on her and her ability. But she could never be bad. One, because she's 5'8", and two, because she gives you like 2 free cards, right? So I'm putting Jane Foster at the top of B. Up next, man, we got the only F tier 5-cost card in my opinion, man. And it's so strange, man. I feel like I really like Kang's ability, and it fits like his card, like who he is in the Marvel universe. It's just you can't really win games with Kang. All he does is prevent you from losing. He doesn't allow you to win, right? I feel like you're most often better off running like a Daredevil card, something like that, right? Yeah, it's just unfortunate, man. But yeah, Kang's definitely F tier for sure, man. Up next, we got Claw. Another card, man. I feel like Claw is very underrated. I want to put Claw I actually want to put Claw an A tier, man. A lot of people don't use this card, but it has 10 power in total, man. On top of that, you can double his ability by running Onslaught. You can also use Mystique to like copy his ability and give your next location 12 power, man. Yeah, it's very strange to me how little people use this card. On top of that, he works great with like Namor and Orca, which are also cards that you don't really see like that. But yeah, I feel like Claw is very underrated, underused, and he's definitely A tier, at least in my opinion. We got Big Leech, man. Let me tell y'all something about Leech, right? He got nerfed, but Leech is just that card, man. If you're using Leech, you just gotta look in the mirror and ask yourself what type of person you are, man. Like, don't use this card, bro. Please. Hate Leech. He's not that good anymore, but it's just a brain dead, annoying card, bro. He might be higher than D, but who cares, man? I'm putting him in D tier. Up next, we got Big MODOK. I'm gonna put him in A. Actually, I'm gonna put him in B. Similar to Jane Foster, right? He only really works with one style of team. Jane works with the Lockjaw team. MODOK works with this Discard team, right? And I feel like Discard is a B tier strategy, right? Very easily countered by Cosmo, very easily countered by Rogue, by by just stop. All you have to do is stop their Invisible Woman, right? And you're not really able to use MODOK how you want to, because you always want to use them in combination with Invisible Woman plus Hela or Hela, however you say her name, right? But yeah, for what he does a great job. Definitely more useful than these lower tier cards. I'm putting him in B tier for sure. Nimrod, another A tier, man. We know they buffed him to 5/6. You literally play him on turn 5, then you play Venom and Carnage on the last turn, and you get so much mileage out of Nimrod, man. You get like two Nimrods at one spot, you get one at the other. You could really do a lot with this card, so I'm putting him in A tier for sure. Professor X. I think Professor X is I think he might be like mid to upper B. His ability is great. It's just the fact that on top of wanting to use him with a card like Daredevil and Storm, he also has low power himself. So in the case that you didn't use one of those cards and your opponent actually played the same lane as you, it's a very high chance that they're going to have way more power than you do. And when you lock that lane off, right, it's it could be bad sometimes. I'm putting him at like the top of B. He might even be A. Actually, I think like mid A. It's probably good. He's definitely better than these, right? Up next, we got the Red Skull. People are still, even though he's like not 5/15 anymore, people are still getting like scrubbed out by this card. What is he, like 5/13? Literally just use Shuri, him, and Taskmaster still to this day, right? And you can rank up very high, win a lot of games with this card. You can even use him on that Sauron team, and it's just a very, very difficult card to overcome just because it's so strong, right? Especially because most of the time you want to hide it behind armor so that it can't be broken. It's very good and very difficult to get around. Up next, we got Ronan. It's funny to the thing about Ronan, him and Devil Dinosaur are pretty much like two sides of the same coin. It's just the reason why he'll always be a lot lower ranked than Devil Dinosaur, in my opinion, is because it's much easier to control your own it's much easier to control how many cards you have in your hand rather than the cards your opponent has, right? Because you want to run, not Dazzler, I forget the four. You want to run like Crystal and Maximus with Ronin. But I feel like more often than not, those cards can benefit your opponent rather than just being useful for Ronin, man. And yeah, that's the reason why he'll never be as good as Devil Dinosaur, is because it's a lot easier to control your own cards rather than your opponent's hand, man. So I'm just putting him in C. Up next, we got Sandman. I think Sandman is another B tier. We know they nerfed him to 5'3". But the thing about him, you can still like run him on like a wave type of team and get a lot of mileage. Like you can run him on like that Living Tribunal team with Iron Man. Sandman plus Doctor Doom plus Odin isn't as strong as it used to be, but I do feel like he's still better than like these lower tier cards. So I'm gonna put him in B tier for sure. Up next, we got Spider-Woman. Another like really underused card in my opinion. You could like play her on the last turn in like a full lane, and she's essentially like a 5/12, right? The only way to really negate her ability is to use Luke Cage, obviously, but even at that, she's still 5'8". And similarly to Claw, man, I feel like she's very underused. I don't feel like she's as good as Claw, but I'm gonna definitely put her in B tier because I feel like she's really good, right? Next, we got Stature. She kind of reminds me of like Miles Morales, right? Because you want to run her in combination with Black Bolt. We know they nerfed her to 5'6", but I feel like she's still really good, man. Definitely better than these lower tier cards. And yeah, I think B tier is a great spot for her. I'm actually just do Black Bolt up next. Like they're always gonna be used on the same team, and they might be even better than B tier, honestly. But on top of that, we know they nerfed Black Bolt to 5'7". But yeah, they're still really good, and I'm gonna put them like right there. Up next, man, we probably got the best number 5 in the game, Sarah, man. Like literally, you could put her on any style of team, right? And she'll it's just like having that one less cost, like for all your cards, is huge. It just enables you to run so many different types of combos that you wouldn't be able to, just because everything is one cheaper, right? On top of that, I feel like she works real good on like that Silver Surfer team. If you run her alongside Magic, you're pretty much able to use every one of your 3-cost cards because you're making them all 2. Yeah, man. I feel like she's definitely like one of, if not the best, 5-cost cards in the game, man. Up next, we got Taskmaster. I'm gonna just put him like right next to Red Skull, just like how Black Bolt and Stature are pretty much a pair. Like Red Skull and Taskmaster, you're always gonna run those 2 cards on the same team, and when you do, you're able to pull off like such strong combos that is really hard for your opponent to overcome, right? On top of that, he isn't just limited to like that Shuri Red Skull deck. Like you can run him with Black Panther. You could get really creative with Taskmaster, man. I feel like he'll never be a bad card because you're able to control just how much power he has. So I'm gonna put him in A for that. Up next, we got White Tiger. Put her at like the top of B. Obviously, you want to run her with Wong every time. Like it's funny. Like a lot of these cards, you want to run combos. Like Devil Dinosaur, you want to run Moon Girl. Nimrod, you want to run Carnage plus Venom, like Red Skull, Shuri. Like it's pretty interesting, but I just feel like the Wong, Shuri, Odin, it isn't as great as it used to be, just because cars are continuously being added to the game. On top of that, it's very easy to predict when your opponent's gonna do like that Wong setup, because you need like 3 turns to pull that off, so you have a lot of time to run or to counter them with Cosmo or even Rogue, right? But for what she does is pretty solid, so I'm put her in B. Valkyrie, nah. Vision, I'm gonna put Vision in C. While you can use him on like move decks and lockjaw teams, I feel like it's just the fact that you get him out most of the time on turn 5. You're not really able to capitalize on his ability, which is one of the most cool abilities in the game, in my opinion, to be able to move continuously to any spot. But he's definitely better than these. I'm putting him at the top. I feel like he's better than those. Definitely better than the D and F cards for sure. So I'm putting Vision at the top of C. Spider-Man, it's interesting, right? Because 4 and 3 was way better than like the 5 and 4 that he is now. I feel like he's similar to Dr. Octopus in a sense nowadays. It's really difficult to pull him off, just because he like costs so much, right? And opposing to Dr. Octopus, he isn't that strong. But I don't know, man. I think, I don't know. I'm putting him at the top of C. Some of y'all might disagree with that, but I don't really find myself losing to Spider-Man teams anymore, man. Legion. I'm put Legion like at the top of B. His ability, like without Storm, is useless in my opinion, but that combo is pretty good. But even when you're facing against Storm plus Legion, I feel like since they made Magic 3 costs, it's very easy to overcome that style of team nowadays. So you're able to counter that type of deck really easily. But off chance you're not running Magic, right, he's pretty hard to deal with. But I feel like since everybody is, he can't be too high up the tier list, right? So I'm gonna put him in B. Next we got Arrow. You could run Arrow with like Galactus or like Kingpin type teams, right? She's definitely pretty interesting. And she's 5'8". Like, we know she's not 5'7" anymore. They like gave her a little bit of power back. But I don't know. I just feel like one, the type of decks you want to run her on aren't really that strong. Like the Kingpin, Magneto decks aren't really that strong anymore. And yeah, it's very hard to pull her off, because if you're running her with like Galactus, right, you're not able to get your full like Galactus plus Null setup off, because you got to put her down on turn 5. So yeah, her combos just aren't that strong as they used to be anymore. But she still has, like I said, more utility than these bottom tier cards. So I'm gonna put her in C. And then last, but not least, we got Obama Nation. Not Abomination, Abomination. Even regular Abomination is good, because you can run him on the Patriot teams. But Evolved Abomination, like, you're essentially getting like a 5/9 out for like way cheaper, because you're always gonna be weakening your opponent's cards, right? He's essentially like a better She-Hulk in that sense, right? I don't know if he's as good as these. I'm put him at like the top of A. But just because he can be ran on pretty much two of the strongest type of teams, I gotta rank him pretty high for that. And yeah, y'all, that's gonna be the end of the 5 cost card tier list, man. We got one more video. I appreciate everybody for watching, man. Y'all leave likes, sub up, comment, tell me what y'all think about the list. And yeah, man, we gonna keep coming at y'all with videos. Appreciate everybody who watched, and I'll see y'all next time.